Hey, I'm AK, the co-founder and CEO of Logical.
And I'm JJ, co-founder and CTO of Logical.
We built Logical because we heard from thousands of attorneys and paralegals in the field that they wish there was an AI product that took care of the more mundane aspects of lawyering so they could focus on the strategic pieces of their work, like advocating for immigrants they serve. We have a packed agenda lined up for today, so let's get started. We'll kick off with everyday AI use cases that you can start applying to your practice from today, from writing support letters to drafting forms. Plus, we've got some fun freebies and discounts in there too. Then we'll cover the big picture question. Why use AI at all? What's the value? What's hype versus real? And what might the industry and your firm's future look like with AI?
Then we'll get into how to use AI securely, especially since you're handling sensitive information at work. And finally, we're also showcasing a short overview of the fundamentals of AI, what it is and how it really works under the hood. Feel free to drop your questions in the live comment section throughout the session, and we'll try our best to respond to all of them.
So with that, let's get started. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly where AI slots into a visa filing process, from client intake to actually tracking the case after it's submitted to USCIS. Let's walk through a typical employment-based case from start to finish. After talking to several law firms, here's the general timeline we see across the industry. Intake takes about 1 to 1.5 hours in collecting documents and chasing missing info. Evaluation about 30 minutes. Case setup about 1 to 1.5 hours, going from creating matters, folders, entering data about the employer or immigrants. Form prep takes up an even larger chunk, between 1.5 to 3 hours in copying data into the forms and sending it for edits. Generating support letters takes about 2 to 4 hours in drafting employer and beneficiary letters, plus additional memos. Attorney reviews take about an hour. Compiling and submitting another 30 minutes. And status tracking about an hour over months. Plus RFEs have their own timeline altogether. So we're looking at roughly 11 staff hours stretched over 3 to 8 months of elapsed time in back and forth emails, cleaning up human errors, and manual PDF gymnastics. Those are exactly the spots where AI and technology can give us 4 or more hours back on every single case. You'll walk out of the session today learning how to take back hours of your time by filling forms in 10 minutes, generating support letters in 30 minutes, and spend no time in case setup. All of this with significantly fewer errors. For the purpose of today's session, let's zero in on the 3 biggest time sinks and show you how automation collapses them. That's intake and case management, form prep, and support letters. If we automate just these 3 tasks alone, we give every paralegal half a workday back and eliminate most human errors that cause RFEs. We'll start with support letters because they're the lowest hanging fruit. Drafting an employer or beneficiary letter by hand takes 2 to 4 hours. Our goal today is to help you prep this in just 30 minutes to the point that is ready to compile in your case packet. Before we start the demo, scan the QR code to access your take-home toolkit of prompt templates, because these templates can help you get immediate value today with $0 in spend. I'll be using the support letter template from this toolkit in today's walkthrough. I'll give y'all a couple seconds to scan this. All right, let's get started. Open the support letter prompt that we gave you access to and copy the prompt from there into ChatGPT. Then swap every placeholder in square brackets for the actual details like the visa type and company name. Check the prompt thoroughly and remove any personal information you don't want ChatGPT to see. Then upload your documents that are listed in the template we shared and make sure everything sensitive is redacted. You can experiment with the different reasoning models on the top left. The results can vary, so if you have the time, run the prompt through a couple of different models and compare it. I usually like to use O3. Then hit enter and wait a few seconds while it drafts your support letter. And once it's done, scroll through the output and confirm the details match your documents and nothing looks off. You can always ask it to make any necessary edits before you hit send, and also based on what it provides you. Then copy the text into Word, adjust the formatting, and add any remaining PII information that you just redacted, and you're all set to add this to your packet. Generic tools like ChatGPT are great, but you'll often encounter data security roadblocks, and it'll take you more time to redact information, upload it, and then copy over results into Word and format it the way you want. Which is why the alternative to using these LLMs directly is using a purpose-built system that can not only go further, but is enterprise-grade secure. So here's a demo of Logical doing exactly what I showed you with ChatGPT, but better. Let's use the same H-1B example. Once you're in Logical, click on New Cases in the top right. On the right-hand side, you'll see the option to upload your documents. You can upload everything we currently support, or just a few, whatever you have ready. I have the LCA and some of the immigrants' documents here. After uploading them, scroll down to label the documents. Our AI will try to label most of them for you, but in case it misses a few, go ahead and label those and make sure all the labels are correct. Then click Generate Packet. Based on the metadata in your documents, we'll generate a draft of the support letter for you. And get this, we'll also generate the forms for you, which I will show you in just a second. Any parts that were written by AI will show up in gray, so you can easily spot them and make any necessary edits. And here's why it's better. It's more secure, your letters are readily formatted, you're adding documents in once, and it performs multiple tasks beyond generating just a support letter all at once. And it's super fast. It just took us 30 seconds. And it's extremely user-friendly. And hey, don't take our word for it. Try it out for yourself. We're offering 50% off your first month when you use the code WELCOME2LOGICAL at checkout. Give it a spin, see how it works for your workflow, and if you run into any issues or have any suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. We're always looking to improve, so seriously, any feedback is welcome. And if we're not supporting the specific functionality you're looking for just yet, hang tight, we are actively building. We're constantly adding new features, supporting new forms and visa types. So if you believe in what we're building, consider subscribing. Your support helps us expand faster and build the tools you need sooner. Shifting gears a bit, what we just saw was a more subjective use of AI, like drafting a support letter. That kind of task is relatively easy to do with generic AI tools like ChatGPT, and often costs next to nothing. But when it comes to the more objective tasks, like preparing immigration forms, things get a lot trickier. AI hasn't quite mastered this yet. These forms are complex because they have multiple addresses, multiple names, and the model doesn't always know what goes where. It's not just a copy-paste job. It requires a deeper understanding of context and rules. That's why we're building Logical, to tackle those tedious objective tasks, or what we like to call the laundry and dishes of legal work. No one likes doing them, and even AI still struggles to get it right today. We're layering more sophisticated tech on top of AI to make sure the output is accurate and actually useful. One of the biggest objective use cases we've developed is to help you fill forms in 30 seconds. Remember when you uploaded and labeled documents in Logical? When you hit generate packet, it doesn't just create the support letter. It also pulls in all the metadata from your documents and autofills the I-129, I-907, and G-28 forms for the H-1B, TN, L, O, and P visas, and the I-751 and the G-1145 forms for the marriage-based removal of conditions. We're constantly expanding support for more visas and forms. We'll be launching support for asylum, EAD, and new marriage-based green card petitions very soon. And just like that, you'll see the metadata filled in the right fields across each form. Here's the I-129. You can look through all the fields to make sure it filled it in correctly. Here's the I-907. Similarly, fills in all the metadata. And here's the G28. You can also edit everything in line. So if you need to tweak something, just click on the field to make the change and it will automatically save your changes. If we expand the actions we take with the help of the information from the documents, you can begin to see case management becoming a thing of the past. Since we extract so much structured data straight from the documents, that same information flows into other parts of the workflow. You'll notice that the moment we upload those documents, the platform auto-filled the employer, employee, and visa details in the My Cases table here. No manual entry of matters, cases, clients, and immigrants anymore. It's shifting the immigration industry to build a document-first intake flow as opposed to a questionnaire and data entry-first flow. So just to recap, we just talked about 3 big use cases: support letters, form prep, and intake plus case management. By automating these 3 workflows, we just made filing visas 500 times faster and saved you and your team hours of elapsed time. 11 hours of work should now take you just 3 hours, and 3 months of elapsed time is now brought down to just a few hours. But we don't want to stop there. Our goal is to make this process 4,000 times faster by bringing filing time down to just 30 minutes, especially for those straightforward form-heavy visa workflows. I walked you through those exciting applications of AI that you can get started with right away. But let's pause for a second and ask ourselves why we're even doing this and what its implications are. From a business perspective, as a law firm, there's only one big reason why you should adopt AI today, and that is to gain a competitive advantage. AI can turn a 3-month filing cycle into a 4-hour task. That means petitions go out the door faster, RFEs drop, and clients feel momentum and speed instead of delays. Automation handles the grunt work that normally eats up paralegal hours. Firms running AI workflows report up to 80% lower labor costs per case, which unlocks flat fee or subscription pricing models that win bids. Machine-ready metadata cuts manual data entry and the typos that come with it. Early adopters are seeing error rates fall, which protects approval rates and keeps reputational risks in check. If not for operational efficiency, do it because you will be left behind. It is inevitable. Your clients already rely on AI for analytics, customer support, and DevOps. They want outside counsel to be just as advanced. RFPs now ask point blank, what AI tools do you use? Having an answer keeps you on the shortlist. Global giants like Fragment and Bal are pouring millions into private AI stacks and proprietary models. If you wait, that gap only widens. Matching their efficiency today prevents them from pricing you out tomorrow. And there's new tech-first law firms as well. Startups staffed with 2 attorneys and 5 engineers and 0 paralegals are already marketing 24-hour turnaround times on visas. There were 9 such tech-first law firms that came up in 2024. They are lean, automated, and they're eager to take mid-market clients. Beating them means adopting the same tools before they grab market share. So the strategic mandate is clear. It's all about staying ahead and staying competitive. You have to adopt AI today to stay ahead of the curve. Next, let's look at the hard numbers. Exactly how much time and money does the switch put back in your pocket if you use AI in your practice? Every year, if your firm files 2,000 visas, pays paralegals $40 per hour, and spends 5 hours per visa in filling forms and drafting letters, you would currently be spending about $4,000 and about 10,000 hours a year on these mundane tasks. That is lost money, time, and opportunity to be serving your clients better. With AI, you'd save 35 times the money, and you'll get 600 times the time back to focus on the things that actually matter to your clients, like case strategy and advocacy. If you'd like to calculate your firm's ROI and get a custom code, reach out to us at hello@logical.app. And with that, I'd like to pass it over to my co-founder, JJ, to help us understand how to use these AI tools securely.
Thanks, AK. In this next section, I will be talking about a very important topic, which is AI safety. I know a lot of people are worried about it. What is it doing under the hood? What is happening with the data we send ChatGPT? And what can we even do if there's anything we could do about it? Okay, let's talk about what can go wrong, starting with the tech itself. LLMs are powerful, but they come with real risks we can't ignore. First, hallucinations. This is when the model confidently generates information that's completely false without knowing it. In legal work, that can mean citing non-existent laws or inventing client facts. There are some pretty notorious examples outside law, actually, of Google AI saying that it is okay to eat rocks or put glue in your pizza and just like other absurd stuff. So all the output that's generated from AI models has to be verified. Second, bias. AI can absorb patterns from the training data, including harmful ones. So if the data is skewed by gender, race, nationality, the model's outputs can reflect that, even if we don't intend it. And that brings us to fairness. When AI is used in legal work, we have to ask, is it treating clients equitably? Are some people getting better answers than others based on who they are, maybe based on the name they have or how their case is framed? These problems usually stem from how LLMs are trained. They're built on massive data sets scraped from the internet, which include everything from gold standard legal resources to Reddit posts to misinformation and fake articles. And the fact is that these models don't really know the difference. So they just spit out the answers like confidently, and we have to deal with the consequences and make sure that they're correct. In law, this isn't academic. A hallucinated case citation in a court filing, for example, can get lawyers sanctioned. A biased AI-generated support letter could tank a petition without lawyers realizing why. These risks show up fast and matter deeply. And here's the twist. The government is using AI too. For example, USCIS runs plagiarism checks on written consent. They want to know if petitions or support letters look auto-generated, templated, or copied. They're comparing filings against each other and against past cases. And if the AI-generated content contains inaccurate or false information, even by accident, it is still your responsibility as a legal professional. The government doesn't care if it came from ChatGPT. The most immediate risk is simple: denial. If the facts don't check out or if the content reads as boilerplate or not credible, the petition can get rejected outright. And worse, if the information is found to be false after approval, USCIS can reopen the case and revoke the person's status. That means their visa, work authorization, or even green card could be taken away. So the stakes are high, not just for your clients, but for your practice. Using AI in law requires careful oversight. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about what are some good practices to safely use AI. One of the most common questions we hear from our attorneys is, if I put client information into ChatGPT, where does it go? Can someone else see it? Is it safe? These are the right questions to ask. So first, understand what happens to your data. When you use a tool like ChatGPT or another AI assistant, your inputs may be stored, logged, or reviewed internally by the operating company, in this case OpenAI, unless you opt out or use a version with strict privacy guarantees. Always ask, is my data being saved? For how long? Who has access to it? You should know what you're agreeing to before entering anything client related. And you should choose a tool that best suits your needs. Second, avoid tools that use your data for training or make it public. Many consumer-facing tools train their models using user data, often by default. That means your prompts or even fragments of client information could be used to improve future versions of the system. If you're using AI in a legal workflow, that's usually a deal breaker. Look for an explicit opt-out, or better yet, just choose tools that don't use your data for training at all. Third point, know where your data is stored and which privacy laws apply. Not all data is treated equally. Where your data is stored, the jurisdiction matters a lot. Data stored in the US falls under different rules than data stored in Europe or elsewhere. Fourth point, good AI tools should employ strong security practices. Encryption both in transit and at rest. Data isolation is equally important. Your firm's data should be siloed and not lumped in with others. There should be clear access controls, so only authorized parties can ever touch your data. If your firm wants tighter control, you might even explore on-premise or on-prem or private cloud deployments where the AI system is hosted within your own infrastructure or on a server you manage. That way, the data never leaves your environment. And if you want more information about this, you could always reach out to us and we can chat more. Make sure the AI tool complies with regulations, whether it's HIPAA, GDPR, or state-level privacy laws like CCPA. Even if you're not working with medical or biometric data, these laws often influence what's considered good data hygiene. So the security practices that they employ are usually pretty strict and good for the data itself. Legal tech providers should be able to speak clearly about this type of information. So when in doubt, contact the provider's security or support team. Every credible AI vendor should be able to explain how they handle your data. And if they can't or won't, that's probably not the tool that you want in your firm's workflow. At Logical, we know that immigration attorneys handle incredibly sensitive data: passport, visas, I-94s, social security numbers, etc. And protecting this information isn't optional. That's why we designed Logical from the ground up with privacy, data security, and compliance at the core. We do not use your data to train any models. We follow strong security practices. We have a page on that you can check out. And we're building infrastructure that supports compliance with key US data protection laws, with the goal of supporting international regulations as we continue growing. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending our session today. Please reach out to us if your firm uses proprietary technology and wants to add AI capabilities, or if you currently use a CMS and are looking to either migrate from it or integrate Logical with it. You can email us at hello@logical.app. And there's one final section, which, as we mentioned at the beginning, on AI fundamentals, for those of you who want to know a little bit more about how AI works under the hood, which I'll talk about in a bit. So for the practical part, the efficiencies and the data security aspects, we already covered that. So in a second, I'll cover the AI fundamentals part. Okay, so for this section, I've tried to keep things super simple and basic. Hopefully you'll walk out of the session today with a deeper understanding of AI. So let's make sure we're all on the same page about what AI actually is. It's said everywhere, every day. People say it millions of times a day. Artificial intelligence is software that mimics human intelligence. That means it could do things like understand language, analyze patterns, and even make decisions, tasks that used to require a person. I like to think of AI as a really fast, always available junior associate, one that's trained on an enormous amount of information and is really good at summarizing, drafting, predicting, and helping you think through problems. And you are using AI already, even if you don't realize it. For example, when you ask Siri to call someone, asking Grammarly to help you with writing, ChatGPT of course. But AI isn't just about writing or answering questions. It's already doing big things in the world. For example, AlphaFold is helping scientists figure out how diseases work by predicting how proteins fold in the body. AlphaGo beat the world champion at Go several years ago. There's a Netflix documentary about it. Waymo is using AI to drive cars in a bunch of US cities with no human behind the wheel. So when we talk about using AI in immigration law for writing letters, managing intake, or drafting forms, just remember that this technology is already helping in medicine, science, and transportation, and it's ready to help in legal work too. And it's, as I mentioned before, it's not just private companies using AI. USCIS uses AI in all kinds of ways. They have a page on it. You could check out the QR code. So from stuff such as facial recognition for identity verification to automating how they classify evidence or digitize forms, AI is helping streamline how USCIS works. And in fact, earlier this year, DHS released an official Gen AI playbook outlining how they are using generative AI to speed up case processing, train officers more efficiently, and summarize documents faster. Let's take a quick look at how AI systems actually work. No technical background needed. First, the AI needs data. In immigration, this could be anything from websites, books, documents, case files, lots and lots of examples, hundreds or thousands or even millions. Think of it like training a junior paralegal. You can show them thousands of past cases, filings, or letters so that they start to understand patterns. Once the AI has the data, it goes through a process called training. This is where the system learns how language works, what sentences tend to look like, how questions get answered, how legal documents are structured, and what's been successful and unsuccessful in the past, and so on. After it's trained, then you can start using it. This part is called inference. That just means you give it a prompt and it gives you a response. For example, draft a perm job description for a data analyst, and it gives you a detailed, relevant draft. That's inference in action. That's inference in action. Now, this is the part a lot of people don't realize, and I alluded to it a little bit earlier about AIs using your data to retrain their models. But most modern AI systems continue to improve over time. If users give feedback like thumbs up or thumbs down, if they correct the answers, if they edit the drafts, that information can help the AI improve. It's kind of like reviewing a paralegal's draft and giving notes to them so that they know how to do better next time. And you'll see in the diagram that feedback can go back into the training loop. That's how these models get smarter. They keep learning from real-world usage and corrections. Now let's talk about the kind of AI that's really driving a lot of the progress we're seeing today, large language models, or LLMs. Okay, a large language model is an AI system trained to understand and generate human language. That means it can read, write, summarize, translate, and answer questions, all by recognizing patterns in massive amounts of text. We call them large because they're trained on billions of words and concepts. In fact, they're trained on the entire set of the internet and everything that people can get their hands on. They usually train LLMs with it. So you can think of it like a supercharged language assistant, one that has read the internet, books, articles, and more, and can now help you do everything from drafting letters to brainstorming arguments. Some of the more commonly used LLMs are here in the slides. OpenAI makes ChatGPT, Anthropic makes Claude, Google makes Gemini, Meta creates one called Llama, and DeepSeek has its own LLM. And Metas and DeepSeeks are actually publicly available. You can download them and run them in your own computer. The first three are proprietary. The important thing to know here is that this is a fast-moving space with a lot of competition, which is a good thing. It means more tools, more competition, better quality, and more choices for professionals like you. Let's take a quick peek under the hood and talk about how a large language model like ChatGPT actually works. Let's say you type in draft an explanation of the perm process for a first-time employer. That's your input, a natural language prompt, simple and plain. The first thing the model does is break that sentence into smaller pieces called tokens. They're like building blocks. Sometimes it's a word, sometimes it's part of a word. It's a bit like a paralegal reviewing a message. You send them and maybe highlighting key terms like perm, explanation, first-time employer, before sending it out to a client so that they don't miss the important details. Next, those tokens get converted into numbers at the embedding layer. This is a way for the model to understand relationships between ideas. Behind the scenes, this is how it knows that green card process and perm are connected. Also, that's how it probably knows that first-time employer may need a little bit more hand-holding than a seasoned HR manager. Next, transformer blocks. The entire input all at once is observed to understand context. It figures out what's the goal here, what tone should I use, what level of detail is appropriate for a layperson, should I explain concepts like prevailing wage or recruitment. It's not just pulling a template, it's reasoning based on the relationships between the model and between the words in the input. Then the model starts generating a response, one word at a time, at the output layer, based on everything it's learned from billions of examples during training. This is how you go from a short prompt to a clear, friendly explanation of the perm process, tailored to someone new to immigration law. And once the response is ready, it's up to you what to do with it. Maybe you drop it straight into a client email, you can print it, etc. But it doesn't stop there. Most of these AI systems can trigger other tools behind the scenes. Maybe they can generate a polished PDF. They might be able to send the email directly to your client, pull data from a government website, do some analysis, create charts, a lot of things. This is where AI starts to feel less like a chatbot and a little bit more like a real digital assistant. Not just giving you answers, but doing concrete tasks for you. The takeaway here is this: these models break down what you say, understand it in context, and generate useful responses. And in many cases, they don't just respond, they take action. So that is it actually for the fundamentals of AI portion. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will keep the live Q&A running for a little bit more. I see AK answering some questions there. So yeah, feel free to ask us anything and we'll respond directly. You can also reach out to us at hello@logical.app. Cool.